But the first return we'll talk about is Bianca Belair's, as it actually seems to have supplanted the plans for another return, which was the Riot Squad reunion.
Okay. So do you want to tell me a little bit more about that then? Is there something
about my theory? No, I'm just that, like, it's been quite clear on TV for the last several weeks that the Iconics are feuding with Ruby Riott. And Ruby Riott has had these occasional backstage passes with Liv Morgan where they're like, hey, maybe we should get that seminal potential Hall of Fame worthy faction back together, the Riot Squad. Let's celebrate with the sources. And it just hasn't happened. And Liv Morgan was apparently meant to be in a tag team against the Iconics last week. But those plans had to be scuppered when Morgan wasn't available. That was a reported thing. The original plan was to have Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan team up against the Iconics. Instead, they just had Ruby Riott also be squashed by Billie Kay after the Peyton Royce squash the previous week. So, you know, we don't want to assume anything. There's the reports of an outbreak, but for whatever reason, Morgan isn't around. And why would you do a Bianca Belair return here if the plan was to have Morgan and Riott?
Okay, right. I'm with you now. So for a second then, because you said like, you know, a Riot Squad reunion, for some reason, I thought you meant that we were going to be getting Sarah Logan come back. And I was like, oh, this is obviously some big bit of news that I'm not aware of. I'm quite surprised about this, considering that she's pregnant. But I now see what you mean. You're just talking about Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan. Because, I mean, that was my notes for the match. I've got them, you know, quite short. Build to the Bianca Belair hot tag. Bianca Belair hot tag. She hits the KOD for the win. So much for Liv Morgan.
Exactly. And so much for the Riot Squad. This little mini... not push, I would say, but a storyline, something for them to do. That's been one of the positives, I think, of the Pritchard era, because it's going better than I think we expected. I'm just going to drop McMahon's name.
On Raw, at the very least.
Yeah.
Let's not get into SmackDown.
Oh, jeez. But I think that at least Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan and the Iconics, four people who were really lost in the shuffle over the last 6 months, had something to work and build towards. But it seems like not only are you missing Charlotte and Becky Lynch, the two top stars in all of WWE, WWE's women's division. I mean, just look at that wider picture there. No Roman, no Charlotte, no Becky. Honestly, it's crazy. The lack of star power.
If they didn't have Orton either.
Yeah, it would really be lacking in pre-established star power, and you'll be stuck trying to build up a lot of stars without an audience live there. But you're missing those two for separate reasons. And then there was the outbreak at the Performance Center a couple of weeks ago, and that seems to have rendered a lot of other people out of action. We don't know who those are, but there were people who were involved in storylines up until a point, and now they've disappeared. So I think WWE like, bollocks, we need more people to fill these gaps. Oh yeah, we called up Bianca Belair like a couple of months ago and never gave her anything to do. So this match was totally about getting Belair over and reintroducing her.
Yeah, it just felt so weird, because you're right, because like the whole purpose of this story was to bring back Liv Morgan. And, you know, they were talking about Liv Morgan during the match, saying, you know, she's at home, she's trying to find herself, she doesn't really know who she is, because I don't think WWE know who she is. And it just felt so weird that Bianca Belair came back for this storyline and then just won. Like, so Ruby's story with the Iconics is now over. Like, she doesn't need to have Liv Morgan come back. I was then fully expecting for Belair to turn heel on her.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that would have been more effective, actually. I think Belair works better as a heel, her character. She's got quite a naturally obnoxious way of carrying herself. So, yeah, that would have been better. But, yeah, I think that the headline here is Belair's back. And
a welcome return as well. Like, I put this up on Twitter. Like, this was a night of two very, very welcome returns. These are two names that... when I've been doing the Friday magazine show, when we've been doing this Raw review, a lot of people say, where the hell is Bianca Belair? Where the hell is Shayna Baszler? We haven't seen Baszler since Money in the Bank. We haven't seen Belair for even longer. She came up, did some skits with the Street Profits, and then disappeared. And you can talk about main event all you want, but like that's not real. Like that's not a real thing.
It's not a real thing outside of coronavirus time.
Exactly. So it was a very, very welcome return to have Bianca Belair. Like my notes is like in all caps, like F&L, Bianca Belair's back. This is wonderful. Very weird to be putting her in this little feud, but hey, I'm just glad that she's back on TV. And the same thing happened in the following segment we got with Truth and Akira Tozawa. A very weird spot to bring Shayna Baszler back into, but I didn't really care because I was just so happy to see Baszler back, and she cut this wicked promo.
Yeah, I don't mind it either. It was a comedy segment initially, while R-Truth was going to challenge Akira Tozawa. There were some ninjas out there. Really, it was just a way to get some bodies in the ring because Shayna Baszler comes down, interrupts, and chokes out all three ninjas, and Akira Tozawa and R-Truth skulkily back away, which really did put over Baszler, I thought. And then Baszler like stared down the camera and said that it's... What did she say?
I'm tired of being... I've been patient, but now I'm done. The kind of like crux of this was that this women's division is going to get hit with a hard dose of reality, and I am that reality. So that was a pretty cool line, actually. But yeah, okay, here's a question for you. What happened to the big ninja?
What happened to the swamp monster, Luke? What happened to that alligator
the
trash compactor?
Or the octopus, whatever it was.
Many questions can be asked. I don't really care for the answers, though, when it comes to this storyline. But the important thing is Baszler is back, Belair is back. Those are two, like we were saying last week, how excellent the women's division has become in WWE. How it's... I said this in my review earlier, like this feels like truer quality, really, because I'm not even noticing, oh, the women are main eventing Raw. Oh, the women are main eventing a pay-per-view. It's like, no, they're just presented on merit and they're being booked with the same chances and opportunities. And they have the best storyline and hottest feud right now that has the best potential to create the best matches with Banks and Asuka. I definitely believe that. I love the Randy Orton stuff, but I don't think Orton Big Show is going to be a good match.
No, and that's happening next Monday as well. We found out on this show. But I agree with you. One of the things that we've always said about WWE is that they are at their best when their backs are against the wall. When they are in a corner with no way out, with the exception of Hell in a Cell, they will always be like, okay, brilliant. Now I know what we need to do and we can turn this around. And I think that's why they found themselves in. Their backs are against the wall here because they've lost their three biggest stars that they've built this entire division around in Ronda, Becky, and Charlotte. Ronda's been gone for over a year now. Becky's now out because she's pregnant. Charlotte Flair's out, and she, was saying on Twitter that she doesn't know when she's going to be back either because she's got to go and get surgery, very important surgery that she's been putting off for some time as well. So this is very, very important surgery for her to get. So we don't really know. So that means now we've got 6 months at the very least, I reckon, where before Charlotte Flair comes back. Where we don't even know when Ronda's coming back, and Becky won't be back until SummerSlam next year, possibly at the earliest. So we've got 6 months to a year where we're like, well, okay, now let's look at all of the toys that have got pushed to the side because we got the new Buzz Lightyear. It's like, but now Buzz is gone. So we got to turn back to all of these other toys and be like, right. And you look at those toys and be like, bloody hell, these are brilliant toys. We've got some wicked toys. Asuka, Bayley, Banks, Kairi Sane. That's 4. Shayna Baszler, Bianca Belair. I was looking at the women's division they've got sort of like overall. Get into NXT, Io Shirai, Candice LeRae, Rhea Ripley, Tegan Nox, Shotzi Blackheart. It's just name after name after name where you're like, now is the time to really, really like flesh out this division. Because when Charlotte Flair does come back, she's going to feel fresh and different because she'll have fresh and different people to feud with.
Yeah, it's really exciting stuff, actually. Becky and Charlotte will be missed, but I think this was the best thing overall for the women's division to happen.